Now you're listening to Living with Basil podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Basil speaking, and I'm back with the 12th episode of my podcast, Living with Basil. And this episode, I'm gonna discuss my 7 months of me living in the beautiful city of Porto. Well, when I first arrived, it was just so freaking cold. It was like around late February, and I remember how cold it was. I was shocked, because I was like, okay, I'm arriving at late February, so it shouldn't be that cold, right? Oof, boy, how wrong I was. It was so freaking cold. Like I had so many nights where I literally slept with my hefty jacket on. So if you wanna come here or for visit, work, study, or whatever, do not underestimate how cold it gets during winter, because it gets quite windy during winter, which makes like any weather extra cold. But yeah, I really loved it. Despite how cold it was during that first couple of months, I really loved the weather nonetheless. So yeah, and afterwards, just like any brand new immigrant moving to a new city, I doubled down with multiple jobs here and there. Of course, unfortunately, once you move to another place, you sometimes encounter multiple shitty people on your way. That was my case. So I worked at a place that never offered any contract, anything like that, because unfortunately, I needed the money, so I just kept working for like 2 months and a half, almost 3 months, and they just kicked my ass. So yeah, it was a nice experience. It's about the fact that I worked really hard, but they weren't worth it in the end of it, because fortunately, I got a better job afterwards, something more related to my major, which is digital marketing. And yeah, and in these 7 months, I've experienced the Portuguese culture, the hospitality of Portuguese people, and how funny they are. That's one of the reasons I really, really love it here, man. Like the weather, the people, the food, the culture, the music, and everything in between. Especially like here in Porto, man, it's so amazing. And one of the things I really love it here, the football team, obviously, because it's got really strong football team, and since I've started a new hobby recently, which is collecting football jerseys, especially the retro ones. Yeah, I got an old school 04 FC Porto jersey, man. What a beautiful jersey, man. One of my favorites for sure. And speaking of food, man, it's so delicious. Especially if you like pastries, sweets, such things, man. You're gonna love it here for sure. And it's one of the things I really like it about here. What else? What else I could say? And here's something maybe you can consider ups or downs depending on your perspective. For me here, it's been really difficult to meet locals within my age. Especially since I'm gonna turn 30 this year, so it's been quite difficult to find people around my age, especially locals. I'm talking about locals, not foreigners. But on the other hand, you meet a lot of foreigners from like different countries, whether from Europe or US, UK, etc., etc. So we get to have like a rich cultural experiences here for sure. But for me, when I move to a certain country, I really prefer interacting more with locals than foreigners first. But unfortunately, that's the situation here. Uh, and one of the very few things I kind of despise a little bit about living here is the rental cost, which is astronomical in comparison to the local salary. It's ridiculous. I mean, just if you are lucky, obviously, if you are lucky with a nice bedroom, single bedroom, it might cost you at least 350 euros. but it's gonna be far away from the city, from downtown Porto, obviously, because downtown Porto, forget about it, man. There's some crazy people are renting rooms for around what 700, 800 euros for a freaking bedroom, man, or a studio. It's so ridiculous, and the salary is like literally the minimum wage is literally 820 euros. So. Imagine that you are paying all of your salary for a bedroom. So yeah, it's quite crazy right now, and I really hope somehow a miracle can occur and improve the situation because it's getting out of hand. The rental market here is just ridiculous. And of course, one of the main reasons behind that are those rich expats. Ironically, they call themselves expats because for them, the word immigrants it's like a woo, it's like a taboo or an insult. So I'm pretty sure if you know those expats, you see them on Facebook groups and such who mainly come from the US, Canada, UK, and like over rich countries which they come here, they mostly are retirees. They really don't do anything here just because they are rich. They receive their retirement money, maybe some other source of income, and yeah, they just stay here. They screw over the rental market, and basically which contributes to the difficulty of local people, whether they're local Portuguese or, in my case, actual immigrant who is working here, who is trying to build a life here, you know, and they're just making it difficult for us, and they don't give a fuck because they can pay whatever price it's in their face. I mean, for those people, they're earning what $5,000, $6,000 per month from their retirement income and other source of income, and they just don't give a fuck, and they screw it over for else who everybody else who are trying, to make it here in this beautiful country. So yeah, that's like the biggest downside I would say in Porto and Portugal overall, unfortunately. But other than that, I'm really loving it here. Like tasty food, especially francesinha, which I forgot to mention it earlier. So tasty, especially like right now we're going through winter. It's so good, and the soups here, oh my god, soups here are so good, so good. As a guy who likes soups, man, I'm loving it here for sure. And yeah, speaking of sweets, which I had mentioned earlier, of course, pastel de nata is like out of this world, and the croissants here, man, they're freaking tastic. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is basically me talking about my first 7 months of experience of living in Porto and Portugal overall. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, and if you like my content, feel free to buy me a coffee in the link down below if you're watching this episode on YouTube. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Cheers.